So here we are back again, and sorry for the breaking down of communication, but there's a lesson in that even, because that's nearly a little like my life, and one of the things, as I say, I'd like to do today to complete this sequence of calls that I've done for the last couple of weeks is to give an oversight or an insight into where do I get my information from? How do I handle crisis? And where did I learn to handle crisis? And do I even acknowledge crisis? Am I one of the weirdos, or am I more normal than people actually would like to admit I am? Because I believe our normal is when we are in our wisdom mind and not our intellectual mind. And so I spend so much time now in my wisdom mind that I just keep getting fed this information that I then carry forward, because that's what I believe I was born to do. So when I tell you that it's sometimes no problem for me to take a couple of deep breaths, close my eyes, and not have a single thought go through my head for 10 minutes, then that's my truth. I have those experiences. And did I learn how to do that? Yes, I did. Did I have to practice how to do that? Yes, I did. Have I been trying to teach people how to do that for the past whatever amount of years? Yes, I have. And the thing about it is, I'm not teaching them to teach them, because whether they want to learn something or not is actually up to them. It's not up to me at all. So I don't get offended if I've had somebody sitting in a workshop for 20 years or 20 minutes or 20 seconds even. Because I'm not here to collect people. I'm here to awaken people. And of course, I can only awaken people to the level that I believe I'm awake. Okay? And I've heard people say, oh, sure, everybody is awake. No, that is not true. Everybody is not awake. Some people are actually in a coma when it comes to awake, and it's because that's where their level of consciousness is. So they're not awake. They're just like mummies, just traveling through this dimension, not realizing the gift of having a human form at this stage. And that's true. If you want to deny that those people are there, that's fine. But I've seen them. And then you have people who are a little more awake and a little more awake. And then you have people who are quite interesting actually to watch. I call them the intelligent ones. Highly intelligent people, but absolutely no awareness of wisdom. No wisdom. They're very intelligent. They've got the degrees from the best universities on the planet, Harvard, Princeton, whatever, so on, Cambridge. But when you look at their behavior, you actually realize, oh my God, they are so disconnected from wisdom. They actually think that intelligence is the way forward. But they're wrong. Because that intelligence is not coming from a higher intelligence, i.e. wisdom. It's coming from man-made intelligence, which has entrapped humanity for a long time. And hopefully we're at a point now, or we're being given the opportunity now, to break those systems, to have the courage to face our shadow side, to look at ourselves in a way that, as I say, you have to understand that suffering is part of the journey. Okay? Like when somebody steps up to be a leader or a teacher, one of the greatest gifts of stepping up is people keep you honest. You know, they're looking at you, they're keeping you honest, they're helping you as the teacher to sharpen your source of connection with absolute truth. Not what people say is true. I'm talking about absolute truth. So the questions that have come in this week are good questions because they're going to help us, I think, as I say, wrap up formally this part of our journey together. But I'd like us to continue that journey if that's possible. And one of those ways that we can do that is by me asking for your help. And the type of help I'm asking for is this. If I was to make a 10-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute YouTube video on a subject, just talk about that subject, what would it be? What would that subject be? I'm being told that the audio on this call keeps breaking up. So I'm going to just disconnect because I've just asked you the question. But I'm going to hang up and redial back in and see if I can get a clearer line of communication. And if not, we're all just going to have to sit in silence and get what we get. So I'm hanging up. I'll be back in. Okay, so here I am back, and hopefully the connection, I'll ask Source if it could help to keep the connection connected, because when I go into what I call the flow of consciousness, i.e. just bringing the teaching through or the talking through, whatever, technology sometimes breaks that flow of consciousness, and it is what it is. So if you're listening to this call and it does happen, just sit still, because the consciousness that are bringing these lessons to you is the source of everything. This is not Derek O'Neill talking. This is Source using Derek O'Neill, because that's what it has been doing all my life. It's been utilizing me to bring people, as I say, to their higher selves, to their awakened state, in whatever way that means. And so, I hope that the connection, Source, stays good. And if not, I'm just going to continue talking anyway. And if you get it, you get it. But I can't apologize for something I can't control, right? It's one of the lessons I teach people all the time. I don't own the company that allows me to do the call. So I have to just allow it to be. And that too is part of one of the great lessons, as I say. So I'm going to just spend the rest of the time now just wrapping up this call and then getting on to the questions that people have been asking. So just remember what I said to you before we broke up there. If there's a certain subject that you think, you want me to speak about in particular, in other words, if you send me a I'm in crisis question, I won't answer it. If you send me, Derek, what is your understanding on what happens when somebody drops their human form? I will answer that. What is your understanding, Derek, of consciousness? I will answer that. I will not answer. I cut my finger chopping my vegetables should I leave my husband? No more of that, okay? So, the lessons that I have been trying to put out there as offerings, because that's all, as I say, that's all I'm doing is I'm offering. I'm not trying to teach you something that you don't already know. You know it. Question is, do you want to remember it? You know it, but do you want to remember it? And, we use all sorts of things to stop ourselves from remembering. Like we overeat, we overdrink alcohol, we oversex ourselves, we overbuy stuff when we're shopping. We keep doing this stuff so that we don't remember. And if you don't want to remember, that's fine. If you do want to remember, I think I have tools that can unlock doors that you have welded shut. They're very simple, yet very powerful. But in order to unweld that door, you're going to have to sort of stick with me a little. The issue that people commonly have again and again and again is they hear 10 teachers say the same thing 10 different ways. And then they get confused as to which of the teachers were right. The fact of the matter is, if they had learned anything from any of the teachers, they would probably realize that if they were genuine teachers, that they were saying the same things, just putting different flavors and slants on it. And so, one of the things that has definitely come to light around what we're experiencing now as a human entity, as a world, is how we need to now fact check. In other words, at the beginning of these calls, I was really sort of saying to people, look, guys, stop sending out crap through this WhatsApp videos, do. Stop doing it. Because in the future, because we now have to create our future from this moment. Do you all understand this? We have to create our future from this moment. The future is not created until this moment has passed, and it just passed now. So any thought I have has to manifest itself. So here's a thought that I'm going to put into my system right now, and I'd like you to potentially put in the same system. And here it is. In the future, I am going to fact check information that I am being sent before I forward it on to others. I'm going to do this by checking it out from 3 sources to make sure it's true. Because one thing you see happening again and again and again is you have this group of people or individuals who's put out information about something or someone, and they've just made it up in their head. They've literally just made it up in their head. And depending on who they are or how important they think they are, or if they have a following, which is worse, the chances are that information is going to be put out there. And not only is it going to damage people and confuse people, but it'll probably send those people into a spin that's not helpful. So, guys, fact check going forward. I'm going to do it as well. Now is a great opportunity because of what's happened, and we all are in various states of lockdown or lock-up or whatever you want to call it. Now is a good time to catch yourself becoming unconscious again, going into the old habits, settling back in, if you like. Remember that we do have scientific information that says generally new habits take about 21 days, right? Because that's the length of time it takes in order to change a habit. So we now have all the opportunity to change negative habits into positive habits. And the chance to become more healthy in our spirit, mind and body than we ever have in the past. During this time, don't allow your mind to try to get you back into normal. So if you have these thoughts of when this is over, A, B, C, and D, don't allow that. Actually say to yourself, when this is over, I'm going to be delighted to see what has been newly created. What I've helped to create for myself, the world and everybody in it. So don't allow your mind to slip into the normal. In order to do that, a little exercise that you can do, I've done this exercise and so I recommend it, is to make a list of your new normal. Keep yourself focused. What might be your new normal? Make a list of it. In other words, you're nearly writing down what you want your future to be. You're going to draw it, you're going to paint it, you're going to give life to it, you're going to begin to energize it and manifest it. What is your new normal? Please don't tell me it's going back to where you were. In order to do this, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the effort. And you have to have the right teacher teaching you. Sorry. End of story. If you don't have the right teacher teaching you, you're just not going to get there. Because a real teacher, as far as I understood a real teacher to be, when I met these teachers on my life's path, they teach you something very simple. They say stuff to you like a well-developed mind is like gold. It's precious and valuable. A well-developed mind. Now, what does that mean? Well, first I have to understand that the mind is not that spongy thing. When they use the word mind, they're not talking about that little space. They're talking about the vastness of everything. They're talking about the space of no thought. That cosmic silence. That place where you go, where there's no thought, in that cosmic silence, where the real you shows up. And that happens at the top of a breath if you can train yourself with that simple exercise. Or here's an exercise. Take a moment now. I hope you're not too busy. I hope you're not moving, making a cup of tea or anything at this moment. But if you're not, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to calm yourself. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you touch that space. Make you. Did you hear the words? Make you. Now, I've just contradicted myself because I'm going to tell you can't make anybody do anything. But I know the techniques that make people do stuff if they're open to the experience. So in other words, if you're not open to the experience, it just doesn't work. If you are, it will work. Why? Because it's being tried and tested. So, take a moment now, and I'm going to have you touch the cosmic silence. I want you to say to yourself right now, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Say that now. And for a moment, you hit that no thought space. You've actually stopped your own mind. That's a simple little technique to get you to touch the space so that you can spend more and more time in that space, even when you're moving, even when you're active. You can hold that cosmic silence, because that's what makes the master. They look like they're just acting like everybody else, but they're not. They act like everybody else to be accessible to everybody else. Because if they were to let themselves be, everybody would run away. And why would they run away? Because it's just too much. Always remember this lesson. These are lessons that I was taught on my journey. Suffering is the start of a new beginning. Suffering is the start of a new beginning. Do you know what that means? In other words, at times of great suffering comes the greatest opportunity for enlightenment. Did the Buddha himself not give up all his wealth, give up his princely ways in order to find the root cause of suffering? So in other words, he deliberately put himself into a state of suffering in order to find out what it was behind suffering. So if your mind is calling suffering to you, it's not calling it to hurt or harm you actually. It's calling to awaken you to who you are. And this developed mind that I'm talking about, this well-developed mind, this is when you start to really realize, that meditation from contemplation, okay? For meditation to happen, all your intellectual mind and thoughts must stop. For meditation to happen, all your intellectual mind and thoughts must stop. And the way to achieve this is to have a purposeful time of intellectual intelligence. And the other time, when I jokingly call it being brain dead, times of no thought, the top of the breath, as I say, or that moment of, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. So it takes practice to get to this understanding where I love learning stuff, but I know it's only learning. I know that unless it turns into wisdom, it's not worth a shit to me. So I deliberately hold consciousness of, I am sitting in a workshop, I am here to learn. I will turn it into the wisdom later on when I sit perfectly quiet with Source, after asking a question of Source in contemplation, and sitting because of the disciplined mind for Source to say, this is what the awakening was for you in that class today. Here's where the healing was delivered in that class today. But I deliberately do it, you see. So I'm completely conscious of when I'm learning and I'm in my intellectual mind and when I'm in my higher mind. So I deliberately give those times and space so that I can have the whole human experience. And you should be doing the same. One of the great exercises you can do for yourself is to go back to your 20-year-old self and have a chat. And, If you find yourself over drinking, as I said, overeating, or whatever it is, all you need to do is go back to your 20-year-old self and say, hey, you've used food in order to reward yourself because you don't feel rewarded, or you don't feel loved, or you don't feel acknowledged. You drink to put yourself out of your suffering because you think suffering is a punishment, while we've learned, hopefully on this call, that suffering is not a punishment. What suffering is a messenger. And that messenger can bring you all sorts of wisdom. And the type of wisdom is like, it can be simple, like humor. Humor is the medicine for building a healthy body. There's wisdom for you. A good deed, though it be small, is the greatest act of kindness. You cannot manifest happiness for other beings. They must create it for themselves. There is a time and a season for all things. There is time for meditation and time for contemplation. There is time for seeking and finding all your inner truths. Each individual on this planet must find his or her inner self, or they will never find peace. You have chosen your own path. You create your own path continuously. And there is always a choice. Always a choice. That's the sort of, as I say, the sort of things that we have an opportunity to think about, contemplate about, and whatever. So, I'll go on to the questions here, and let's see what stream of consciousness happens. Okay. I'm going to skip all the thank you, Derek, I love you, Derek type of things, because I already get that. That's why you're on the call. So that's good. As there is a lot of media information going around, which is quite disturbing, about child trafficking, 5G, etc., just wondering about staying in that space of non-judgment. Also, about bringing out vaccines that may be mandatory. Feels like we have no options. Now, I've just already have to tell you, we always have options. With governments putting things in place, what is your suggestion on these protocols? Well, again, I sit here now with an absolute truth. Here's my absolute truth. I have never received a vaccine for measles, rubella, any of those things that a lot of people in Ireland did. And the reason I didn't receive them is because they gave you them in Ireland when you were in school. And guess what? Because I wasn't in school, I never got the needles. And I'm still here. And I'm still healthy. So, you know, I think everybody has an opportunity to make a choice. I do believe that if people buy into fear, then it's very easy for people to be told, okay, take this vaccine or you're going to die. Well, I'm not going to be taking the vaccine. But that's my choice. If you want to take it, that's your choice. I'm not going to take it. I don't need it because I don't fear death. And I know when it's my time to go, it's going to be my time to go. So other people's timelines, governments' suggestions and etc., I have no interest in them. Because I'm going to choose what I'm going to choose. And I will stand over that. And I suggest that everybody sit with themselves and discover what they think is good for them. We are empowered beings after all, are we not? Next question. Hiya, Derek. Here are some questions dancing around my noodle. If we are not the doer, why are we so upset about all of this? Rather than being so judgmental about who is doing or not doing, why not just be the observer and work on ourselves. There is a great amount of debate about what all the numbers mean. So shouldn't we just be focusing on enhancing our immune system and right action, thoughts, etc.? There is a great amount of debate about good or bad leadership, and aren't they all just following their own destiny? And we should work on being non-judgmental. I have decided to turn off the news channels and go for a walk in nature. End of rant. I love it. Okay, so there's a few things in here, but let me grab the first one that comes up. Okay, I teach people that you're not the doer. Okay, now what does that mean? I'm actually saying to people, unless you know how to surrender, you're just going to get into trouble. So first comes to surrender, and then you can become the doer. But you can only become the doer if you're willing to take responsibility for your actions. Okay? And it's just too big for people. And one thing I always say, and I'll say it again and again and again, is people who have been doing spiritual work on themselves for years, they understand what it means, like, you know, I'm not the doer. But the vast majority of people wouldn't know what that meant. So that's basically an advanced teaching, okay? Because you're not the doer is the first step. Then you become co-creator, which is the next step. And then you become the creator, which is the last step. But you have to go through the various classrooms to get there. And so when you're teaching in various formats, once again, you have to know what format it is you're teaching in. So when I'm talking, say, in a like what I'm doing right now, okay, I'm aware that I'm talking to the majority of people, and so I deliberately keep the teachings at what I call a digestible rate, just small pieces at a time, just small pieces, because if you go too big, you lose everybody. So I spend more time looking at everything and saying, I am here to acknowledge what is happening without it affecting the I am. That's my journey. That's the understanding I can do. So I don't knock off the news. I just don't look at it that often. I look at it enough so that if somebody asks me a question about something, I can relate to where they're coming from. But that news does not affect me negatively, because I don't allow it to. I do not allow it to. You see, only I can allow whatever happens to me to happen to me. So when I decide I'm not going to allow something, I deliberately stop it. I allow people to abuse me sometimes as a service. But if that abuse gets too much, oh my God, get out of my way, because I am going to come through you like a dose of laxative goes through your system. Again, not to harm or hurt you, but to tell you this behavior is gone beyond any level of acceptability. And so I take an action that sends the drama into the karma. The drama into the karma. It's one of my most lethal teachings. If people bring so much drama to me, I will mantra it into karma for them to look at. I learned that from one of my teachers. So, you're right. More time in nature, have more fun. not allow anything, satsang, who you hang out with, what you put into your body is going to have an effect. So you don't want that stuff getting in there anyway. Okay, next question. How can we make the politicians and governments be more responsible for what they say and do? What service can we do for this change to take place? In my opinion, the corruption is so deep that nothing will make those in power to be willing to change. These calls bring me plenty of good peace. Good. So, again, you're right. You're right. Like, you can't change. Like, I mean, you know, again, you can be looking at somebody who's running a government, and this person may be very intelligent, but they haven't a clue what they're doing. They haven't a clue what's happening to humanity when they make decisions that are out of alignment with law. So wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't we be all living in paradise if government leaders had to do an exercise before they took any action? And here'd be the exercise. Bounce it off the 5 values. If I do this action, is it in alignment with love? Is it truth? Is it non-violence? Is it right conduct? Is it peaceful? Imagine they did that. Oh my God, could you imagine what type of world we'd be all living in right now? But they don't. And they don't because they're ignorant. And they're ignorant because we allow them to be ignorant, because we are the ones who fell asleep. There is no such thing as evil. There are just good people who don't stand up for truth. That's a fact. So, you know what? Again, bring it back to yourself. How can you protect yourself from what's going on? Well, the best way, I believe, to do that is to stay in non-judgment, to meditate, to use the teachings, to spend your time with high vibrational people, high vibrational teachings, and if you do that, all the rest has to disappear out of your life, because that's the promise of nature. Nature is a cycle, and it says what you put your mind on, you have to achieve. So if there's still shit coming into your life, stop blaming other people. You're attracting it in. Why? Why are you doing that? What conversation do you need to have with your 20-year-old self? What belief did your 20-year-old self decide to carry into adulthood? You need to change the belief from the root. That'll take time. It'll take a disciplined mind. It'll take whatever it takes. Workshops, healing, teachings, whatever. But if you're not willing to do it, well, screw it. I like that. If you're not willing to do it, screw it. That's it. There you go. I like that. A poet and I don't know it. Like, you can't keep blaming other people because you have decided not to be in abundance, because you've decided to, you know, blow out into some crazy person. Not blame somebody else for that. You take responsibility, and then all of a sudden your life will change for the better. Next question. I've never contemplated contemplation. Thank you. I've been focused on meditating in just the right way for a while now, on and off for the last 12 years. I caught up a lot on doing things just right. I never quite got the alternate state and received answers or signs. I've been seeking. During the last call, I learned that might have been a good thing. I don't think it's my calling to experience the dark night of the soul. Well, everybody has to hit the dark night of the soul. Unfortunately, that's, again, the nature of who we are. Through meditation. Oh, you have it, laugh out loud. yeah, good. You probably touched it a few times. So my question is it cool that in contemplation to ask God, ask my guides, ask all whoever, whatever, what I need to know, to show me where I need to go, who I am to reach, etc. Okay, so your question is basically this. It happens specifically around spiritual groups. You have people who do the strangest bullshit I've ever had to witness sometimes. Okay? When I first started teaching these workshops, and I'm sure a couple of people will laugh on this call now, I remember having to sit there when I was in a stream of consciousness and watch people like scream, belch, roar, wave their arms and legs all over the place, do the strangest things, and I had to sit there and go, oh, well, I know who your teacher was before you came to me. And the reason was that if teachers, I was aware of a teacher who actually taught people that was good to fart and belch and do all sorts of stuff. So when that teacher's students came to my workshop, I spotted them straight away. And I realized God loves them unless they actually listen to what it is that's coming through this consciousness. They're going to remain stuck in, I'm channeling Archangel, who's your daddy. Really? Is that who you're well, come here, come over to me. Channel something for me, and I can tell you, people. And this is my belief, doesn't have to be your belief. Some of the giggly gook that people were channeling, I was so happy I wasn't tuned into that channel. So, unless you have the karma in this lifetime to have a gift given to you, don't reach for it. It'll come at the right time. When I first started seeing auras as a child, it was great fun. Lights around people until it became not fun anymore. When I would see stuff in people's auras, cancers and this, that, and I would go to tell them, and my higher self would go, no, that's none of your business. We're only showing you what it is that you're going to see, so that when you're ready to do your work, that you'll know what's yours and what's not. So you won't be distracted by stuff. But when we all stop just trying to impress everybody else around us, we will live happier lives. So if you have a gift, use it. If you don't, wait for it. If it never comes, say thank you. If your job is just to sit in lotus position and do absolutely nothing else in this lifetime, you're bringing up my jealousy issues. I would have loved to have got that message this lifetime. But I didn't. I was told you can have days when you can sit in that space. Otherwise, get out there and talk. Which I thought was hilarious because, as a lot of you already know, I stammered really badly up until I was 16. So I couldn't talk. And now, yes, I know, I hear you all laughing. You can't shut them up. Well, it's not me talking all the time. Next question. How can I make my own family, my own life, and my daughter's life happier? Every technique I have tried has stopped my income, and I need a way to be disciplined and stop my old programs running. So again, I've answered that question. You need to make you complete. You need to make you abundant. You need to make you completely happy. Then people around you may become happier. But then again, they might never become happy because that is not where they are in this lifetime. It's just the way it is. It's the hardest of all lessons. It's like, I remember my own kids growing up, and I seen that you were about to make a mistake, and I wanted to intervene, but you know what? I realized, no, Derek, shut up, sit down, get ready for when they bang their head to put a bandage on it, but they're going to bang their head. That's called learning. And that was one of the hardest lessons for me as a dad. And even now, I still want to step in, but I'm getting a little bit better at it, because the compassion of who I am wants to help people. The teachings tell me I can't. The truth tells me I can. So I don't. And now I can, because people see my happiness and go, I want some of that. And then I can help when they ask. If they don't ask, they can never help, of course. Next question. At this time, so many people are losing loved ones. Can you share some words of wisdom for them? Advise them of your grief book, and maybe offer them the meditation here or one that you can guide or offer. So again, Jeanette, that's something I'm currently actually working on the moment. I'm making a little booklet that I will give to people, and it's what I've understood about, life and living, death being part of life and whatever, and hopefully when it's complete, I'll send it to people, and it'll be very helpful. But the easiest thing, as I say, to understand is that nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. So if it's not going to be permanent, don't grieve its transformation. Don't grieve the loss of it, because that grief is a natural thing to do. So when I say don't grieve, I'm not talking about don't grieve, don't cry. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying apply a teaching that tells us that this is part of life, and the grieving process will become far less damaging to your psyche. But nobody likes the idea of losing a loved one. Nobody. So just make sure that, you do that. And actually, there was somebody had a question in that they were down earlier on that I had a quick glance in at about. It was about what I had in my book about when Linda passed, how quickly I went through the grief process. And I went through the grief process quickly because I applied the teaching, and the teaching gave me a great sense of peace. And the thing about the peace, though, is it slowly began to fall apart. So, it was very fast. I went through it very fast. I felt very peaceful. I was very happy. I applied the teachings, But then the muscle memory arrived back. Then the feeling of touch I wanted to feel again, that came back. But it came back now in a much easier thing for me to deal with. So I still went through the grieving process. I just, because I applied the teaching, I believe I actually gave myself a better opportunity not to be so damaged by the event. And so the grieving process is part and parcel of who we are and what we are. So what else have we got? I've gone flying through. Okay, here's a question. Okay. Since last week, I have been feeling that getting a rising star healing is one of the best actions I can take at this time. I'd like to coordinate with others to support the planet and humanity at this time. Would scheduling collective times for practitioners or teachers of the Rise of Star healing modality to send this energy to the planet, to the coronavirus, or to humanity be the best use of our time and energy? Or would the Prima Agni or Prima Prana Huti symbols, healing symbols, work also? Or perhaps all of the above? If so, would it be appropriate to send these out back to back, or does the period of time need to pass? So as we know, with the Rising Star, once somebody receives a Rising Star, they get no benefit out of receiving another one until 21 days has passed and has gone through the 3 cycles of 7 each. So what I'd say is, this is a request I get time and time and time again. If people want to get together in little groups, okay, then they can. There's a thing called, the SQ Facebook group. If you have, hey people, if anybody's interested in meeting on whatever Zoom at 3 o'clock every Wednesday to do a Rising Star exchange program, then put it up there. And if somebody's interested, they will. But if they have their own thoughts, their own way of doing things, they can go and do that as well. Because it's really now, as I say, about everybody finding out what it is they can do because it feels right to them. But it's not about promoting something to be done or not done. It's about, like as I've often said to people, hey, if you turn up to your workshop and there is nobody there, do your workshop. Because I'm telling you, every piece of consciousness on the planet is present in that room. But if you don't believe that, then you've already disconnected from the healing source. So, yeah, get together if that's what people want to do, need to do, have to do. Sure, that's great. That's exactly what people, should and should not be offering. Here's an offering, and don't, but if you offered, you better carry it on. Don't like, if nobody responds and you said you're going to do something at 3 o'clock every Wednesday, I would suggest you go and sit on your own at 3 o'clock every Wednesday and do what it is you taught, because that, I believe, might be Source saying to you, I need you still at 3 o'clock every Wednesday to help this grid, this light grid, light up in certain areas. And wouldn't that be a great service for us all to do? So again, that's where it should be at. So we've had to hitting it again. We've had to sort of running out of our time span, and I know that there was other questions and really good questions as well. So I won't get around to them this time. But what I do want to do is I want to wrap this sequence of calls up with what I call the many meanings of love. Okay, again, this is from teachings way back in the day. I think I got these in 1991. Well, that's the date on my copybook anyway. 1991. And so I'll end the call with these sayings. Love is its own reward. Love is such a powerful elixir for the heart, because like all things, it is subject to the wonderful universal law of cause and effect. Love is the energy of life, rather than an emotion, a feeling, or a sickness. Love is best defined as a universal life force, available in abundance to all who reach out and to all who reach in. A world without love is impossible to imagine. Without love, perhaps there could be no life. Or if there were life, it would hardly be worth living. Take away love, and our earth is a tomb or a grave. Love is a healer. Love is the energy that holds the cells of our physical body together. It is also the most pure and most worthy expression of positive thinking, which is itself a healer. Love cures people, both the ones who give it and the ones who receive it. Love is unconditional. Illness and stress are often the result of desires. A desire to own, to possess, to control, and to have. Love is the exact opposite of desire. Love is unconditional. With love, there is complete commitment, but no ties, no bond, and no limitations. Love is the creator, and love sets you free. Love is wisdom. To understand is to love. Understanding yourself is the fundamental to your health. Self-knowledge and self-awareness are the prerequisites to health and harmony. Love is union and love is harmony. The use of love as an absolute understanding is to give yourself anything that you always wanted. Love as an illness is a teacher. All illness, adversity, pain and grief are best treated not as punishments or tragedies, but as lessons. They are lessons in self-understanding and in self-love. When the lesson is learned, or at least accepted, you are left stronger, more complete, more whole, and more healthy. Love is the lesson. All forms of stress and illness are lessons in love. They are consequential systems and symptoms of an absence or lack of love, either for yourself, for others, or from others. It'll cause stress only when you stop loving yourself. So let's end this call by calling in the universal love that is there in abundance. Ask it to come through us as often as it can, as we will let it. Ask us to allow us to send that love out to everybody in the world who is open to accepting it. Let us all be now like little lighthouses, all waiting to receive the spark of connection that lights up each of us as a light bulb, guiding the ships who are in the dark, who are going to potentially hit the rocks without you, the lighthouse, being in place. Be the lighthouse you are. Be the way shower you are. Be all that you are. Please make a commitment to invest all that you have and all that you are in consciousness. Nothing else will have any value. This is the highest of truth. Enjoy your weekend, and as I say, if you have something specific, send it into the information the way you have been sending these questions, and I'll be sent them. And when I'm out walking, meditating, contemplating, I'll take out some time to just sit quiet enough, go into a consciousness stream and answer it as best I can. God bless you all. Know that you are far more powerful than anybody has ever really told you you are. But I'm telling you, from source to source, you are your own creator. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.